I want to get this out of the way first because, if I cut this into like a short segment on YouTube and people just click in, little backstory about us. We're both fans of House of the Dragon Season 1. I think we both liked it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Fans of Game of Thrones series.
Yeah.
We're not rage bait hater clicks.
No.
Sort of driving us.
No, yeah.
We like to think we're pretty doing hot takes.
If you clip this and it starts with me just saying boring episode 3 times, I guess you could see why that would be clickbait. But this is part of a podcast originally. So
a long form podcast thing. So I do want to say that we like this thing, but season 2 is not working for us so far. And I think this episode is kind of the epitome of that. And even episode 4, which is beloved, and people just are going heads over heels about it. We're in the minority that episode also just. I think there's a lot of great things in this season.
Yeah,
there's been great
it's not
moments.
bad or anything.
I think it's looked really good from a technical standpoint. I think the acting has been great, but the story of the show and the pacing of the show and the development of the characters, as an arc over the season, it is just not coming together coherently or very satisfyingly in a way that we're 5/8 of the way done with this season now. And things have happened, certainly, but it just seems like they're not as satisfying or just not as intriguing as stuff that we're accustomed to in Game of Thrones. Like the politicking, there just hasn't been that level of interest. I think, did this episode really need to be an hour long?
No, this episode was very long. So I watched this after watching the boys episode last night, and it was pretty late, and I was getting very sleepy during this episode because there's just, as you said, there's not that much interesting happening to it in it. There's 1 or 2 developments I would say are pretty interesting, but aside from that, it's as I described last week, spinning its wheels quite a bit in certain regards. A lot of people just having the same conversations they've had before in different ways, or just character interactions that I personally don't care about really. I don't know. And that's maybe more of a personal thing. Certain characters I may just not be as fond of as others, but I don't know. It was just not interesting for a lot of it. I would say probably like the most interesting thing easily is Aemond being, king while Aegon is incapacitated.
Yes.
And that is cool. I like that. I like that scene at the the whatever you call it, the meeting room,
the small council.
Yeah, I like that scene. I like Alicent trying to become queen. Whatever. What's the official title for
Queen Regent?
Is it Queen Regent, or is that when you're queen? Is it Queen Regent when you're
This episode's called The Regent, so
yeah. I guess I could have put that 2 and 2 together there. Yeah. But yeah, she wants to become Queen Regent again.
I'm gonna double check that one.
You're probably
God
right.
forbid anybody's wrong on the internet.
I think that would make sense. I completely forget a lot of the titles.
A person appointed to administer a country because the monarch is a minor or is absent or incapacitated.
Okay. So yeah. So she wants to become Queen Regent again. She's done it before, and that's fine. But everyone's like, no, you're a woman. You can't lead. I mean, this, at least one of them literally says that, you're a woman. You've never led in wartime. Not sure how we feel about this.
None of us have.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and Rhaenyra has a similar conversation towards that too, actually.
Great shot of that shot that slowly pans in on Olivia Cook's face. Great performance there. Great execution of that moment to portray her thoughts, what she's thinking. Because I'm guessing it's a combination of things, right? One, frustration of losing this opportunity and control, because she's clearly in the backseat right now in terms of what is happening. And then 2, also just Aemond is just complete wild card.
Yeah, and she knows that Aemond is a wild card.
He has nothing but stuff to gain from Aegon dying. So she is convinced. Like she seems to be onto him that he had something to do with the incapacitation of Aegon.
So something, and I have not seen season 1 since it aired, and you watched it recently, so you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I have been very disappointed in the previous episode with, maybe I misunderstood these characters, but the notion that Aemond and Daemon are both vying for power, like not necessarily against each other directly, but like they want to be in charge to a certain extent. I never like got that initially. I always thought they were like more interesting than just wanting to be in charge.
I think Aemond has from the beginning felt like
he wants to.
I deserve all these things.
Okay.
And Aegon is a waste of space and I should be the elder. I'm more mature than Aegon. I'm more qualified than Aegon. Okay. I'm smarter than Aegon.
I knew,
he's been tempted by it for a long time, but he also, like Daemon, he goes back and I think he goes back and forth of like respecting this, because respecting like the hierarchy of society. And kind of what he said he'll do, because you do have that episode in season 1 where the two Eric twins are going after him, and he goes out with Kristen Cole to find Aegon before they can. So he has opportunities to take out Aegon.
Yeah. And
he never fully commits to it.
Yeah, and maybe that's just what I'm thinking of.
But it is like, well, if Aegon were to die, I wouldn't, be too bummed about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's kind of where Aemon's at. But, I haven't read the book.
Yeah.
So, but that's just my interpretation.
Sure.
So far.
But I think, I was thinking while watching this that you can draw, a lot of people, I think the show itself too draws parallels between Daemon and Aemond a lot in terms of they're very much like good wartime people. They're good fighters and everything. And they have this kind of rivalry going. And so you have Aemond now in charge of this, this kingdom in wartime, and he's probably going to be pretty efficient at it because he's pretty good. He seems to be pretty good with battle strategy, at least better than Aegon is.
And if he's not, he's got, Vagar to cover up, that makes up for a lot of miscalculation.
And meanwhile, you have Daemon, who's now like in charge of Harrenhal and is having to be in charge of all of these things he just does not care about, being forced to do all this. And it's not, it's obviously not peacetime there or anything, but it's not like he's in charge of a war or anything. He's kind of having to deal with more diplomatic things in a lot of ways. And so he's just not having it.
Daemon certainly wants to be what Aemond is right now. Yes. Like that's what he wants.
Yeah. But
I think Daemon is also like, I respect Rhaenyra's authority, but also if Rhaenyra were to slip on a banana peel and hit her head, like that would work out for me.
And that was going back to what I was saying about what I had thought about those two characters. Daemon in particular, I like in season 1, like if I recall correctly, the beginning of the season, the first few episodes, Daemon's played out to be like this villainous rival character that, is very suspect. Like you look at him and he's like, all right, this guy's going to try to take out Viserys or whatever. He wants the Iron Throne and everything. And then there's the moment where he decides to bend the knee and everything. And it's kind of this nice subversion of expectations in that season 1, where it's like, okay, as long as he has some semblance of power, he kind of makes amends with Viserys and everything. He's just cool with being there seemingly. And I liked that. I was like, okay, Daemon's not power hungry like everyone else. He's just like, he's a complicated guy who wants some power, but doesn't need all the power. And now I feel like to me, it's felt like it's gone back on that a little bit, and it's made him a little less interesting.
He's clearly confused and conflicted.
Yeah.
I think my problem with it is I got that. I know he's confused and conflicted. You don't need to keep
we don't need
hammering it.
We don't need
on me. I don't need to see an Oedipian moment where he's banging his mom. To know that Daemon's confused while he's trying to eat soup or whatever it is, stew. I just like, I get it. Like the Harrenhal stuff, I get it. I just like, I wish he would do more this season. I feel like he's had a lot of things just happening to him. You know, there is that funny moment where he's like, bend the knee to me, I'm the king, you know, just clearly just being impulsive Damon stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I didn't expect him to be so eager to die, which is a hilarious line. But yeah, no, I just think the Damon stuff is by far just the least interesting thing going on, which is too bad because on paper and according to George R. R. Martin, I mean, like he is one of the most interesting characters in House of the Dragon. So I hope they wrap that stuff up fast.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just think the Black Council has a Damon-sized hole missing in it to create any level of intrigue because I just don't care about any of the characters beyond Rhaenyra, and I'm incredibly frustrated with Rhaenyra because I feel like she hasn't done anything to lead her side.
Yeah.
She's been absent.
Just taking losses left and right.
And kind of just being very reactionary. And we talked about that with our episode 4 analysis too. So if you're interested, check that out. But yeah, I think, again, the Black Council, the problem there is you just have all these unnamed characters.
Yeah.
Or if they are named, they have just zero development. They question Rhaenyra left and right.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like, why are you even supporting her?
Yeah,
at this
why
point?
do you like they always it's like every scene with all of them ends with her being like, do you disobey your queen? Do you not do you not respect me? Do you not see me as, as the real queen or whatever? And they're all like, oh no, we do. We absolutely 100% behind you. But everything before that, they're just like, they seem to not respect her
like a little
at
bit
all.
of a but statement. And like, I get it because she's just gone half the time in the season, or she just doesn't know exactly what to do, or makes kind of maybe the incorrect decision, sending a dragon to fight at Rook's Rest.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I just think that's like all the Black Council scenes have been just so uninteresting because I don't know any of the characters and they've just kind of been the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
And the Green Council, I feel like they've done Laris just a complete disservice this season. The man has done like nothing.
Yeah, aside from like the second episode, this first and second episode, maybe.
Season 1, he was just doing all sorts of creepy stuff and shenanigans. And this time he's just like, yeah, I was going to torture that one guy. And he just told me everything I needed right away. Blood or cheese. I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that dog is the most loyal dog ever when they cut down the rat catchers. And the dog that, I can't remember which one's which, Blood or Cheese, like kicks the first season or first episode.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
And then he gets hung and the dog's there while he's hanging. Then he gets cut down. The dog is still there.
Oh, I didn't.
Just the most loyal dog in the history
that might have been
of
a part
dogs.
where I dozed off a little bit. I do not remember that at all this episode.
But yeah, so the Green Council, at least, I know Laris, I know the Lannister, I know, you got the Grand Maester, who's been an interesting character this season that they've, I feel like, fleshed out pretty well.
He
obviously
was in this episode quite a bit.
Aemond, Alicent. God, I miss Otto Hightower. This show needs Otto Hightower back.
Bring him
desperately.
back. Bring him back.
Otto has had like the best scenes of this season. And he's only been in a couple episodes.
The season has been worse since he left.
I certainly think so. Just because I think nobody knows what they're doing. Like, there was a great moment at the beginning with Kristen Cole bringing the dragon
I did like
and just
that.
completely not having an understanding of what the small folk think.
Yeah.
Because Otto is like, oh, I know exactly how to manipulate these people. And Kristen clearly trying to take a page out of his book by parading the dragon. And he's like, do they not know that we won?
They're like, oh, I mean, you killed one of Rhaenyra's dragons. This is a bad idea.
Yeah. Gawain, Allison's brother.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are they going to develop him at some point? Like,
I figured he was going to do something by now.
Yeah, I thought, he's like, oh, we're going to send him off on this campaign with you. I figured there would be, unless there's like a deleted scene somewhere before the battle, they have little interactions.
Yeah.
But they just really haven't developed him very much in a way that's just surprising. So I would think they're going to develop him more.
Yeah, probably. Who knows?
I think a big issue for this that we've kind of been talking about is I just don't care about Jacaerys at all. And I don't care about Bela at all.
No.
And although it's not like they haven't done anything, like Jacaerys goes out and he gets the North on his side. And he goes and he secures
the season.
yeah, which the start, like I thought that was gonna, nope. It just
hasn't done anything. They play that in the previously on segment in this. I'm like, okay, is that, are the Starks finally going to do something? No, not yet.
I think it was just because then he goes and gets the twins.
Yeah.
Nice little nod to the Freys, Walder Frey, all that stuff. So it's not like Jacaerys hasn't done anything. And it's not like Bela hasn't done anything. But it's just like, I don't know them at all. We haven't had any really good scenes
Did
with
season
them.
1 even spend much time with them?
No.
Yeah, because I feel like season 1 was so much more focused, at least on the kids' side, with the High Towers. And
I mean, there's a little bit, but it's just like, not especially Bela. It's like, there's just hardly anything there.
Yeah.
No, it's just, I don't know. It's such an odd show because for a lot of it, especially season 1, it's like you're speed running through this story. And this episode, which I think you do need to take a breath after Rhaenys and Aegon, have serious, one of them dies and one of them seriously injured. Like, it does make sense you have a slower episode. So, like, having a slow episode, there's nothing wrong with that. But just the way the scenes play out and what you've established with the characters, the slower episodes of Game of Thrones, like, there's still
far more interesting.
Tons of intrigue there. And the characters have just agency, and there's, I feel like maybe this has been missing a little, like, it's wartime, so it's like, maybe a little levity, but like just doing something, like somebody like try to do something. And finally at the end of the episode, it's like you have Jacaerys and Rhaenyra like being like, you know what? Let's get more dragons. Let's Ronald Reagan this. Let's get more nukes.
Yeah. Why not?
And like, why? Okay, first off, if there are 2 other dragons on Dragonstone and you've known this for a whole season at this point. And
you haven't done anything with them?
Like, what have we been waiting for?
Was that prior knowledge at all? That was.
Yes, in season 1, Daemon's like, well, they have this dragons, but there's all these couple dragons here that have been untamed or what do they call it? Unclaimed. And what have we been doing? Why didn't we try that earlier? And then you could do it, and maybe they're just not ready yet. It just seems like, I don't know. I feel like the Team Black has just been not very intelligent. And it's just frustrating to watch a side that's not very intelligent. It's hard to cheer for a side they don't deserve to be winning, know? And it's not like Team Green, they've been masterminds of their own, especially after Otto is out of there. Like, I could understand if Otto Hightower's there manipulating things and he knows exactly what to do because he has more experience than everybody actually knows what he's doing. But it's like Kristen Cole is just annihilating you, and he hardly has any experience. He's supposed to be out of his realm, and it's just we're not seeing that yet. And Aemon's supposed to be emotional and can be manipulated and insecure, and you're just not seeing that either.
Yeah,
they just seem like undefeatable at this moment. And I'm sure it's going to swing and you're going to have dragon stuff, but it's like, really, Team Black, this is what you got?
Best you can do.
It's making it really hard to cheer for them. And I just think all the green scenes are just way more interesting.
Absolutely.
Because I think the characters have been more fleshed out and are just more ambiguous to begin with, where it's like Rhaenyra is just like too morally good, and Jacaerys I feel like is just also just morally good, and so is Bela, and then Daemon is just nowhere near them.
Yeah.
and then Rhaenys, who's like this wild girl, is like, okay, she's interesting. She's dead. Corlys has not done anything.
He's now going to be Rhaenyra's hand, though, I guess. Which
there we go.
That's something.
There we go.
That's something.
I can get on board. I think that's going to make an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, because he actually has like battle experience and stuff, and he seems to be a pretty intelligent character. He's one that I think
very tragic character.
Yeah, and he's one that the either previous review or the one before we talked about. We want more of him, so I assume we're going to get more of him now.
Thank goodness. I think that will add such a good dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think
absolutely.
that will just help with a lot of the complaints we've had so far.
Hopefully.
But it just has been dull. And it's just weird to say that Game of Thrones House of the Dragon has been dull. But I mean, even our gripes with the last episode that everybody loves is like the spectacle was great, but it's just like, Rhaenys. I just felt like we didn't get enough time with Rhaenys to really care about
She really didn't do much this season.
Yeah. I just feel like we didn't get enough time for that really to mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
But it's a bummer. I still have confidence in the show. There was a funny kind of thing that Ryan Condal, one of the showrunners, said in the end of the episode when he's like talking about the dragon Meleys being paraded around. Like the common folk loved Meleys, and they're like, "What about the episode in season 1 where she just breaks out of the ground and kills a bunch of people?"
That's right.
But yeah, that does kind of lead to the mysticism being destroyed of like, the Targaryens are invincible, they ride dragons, and all of a sudden here's a dead dragon.
All the people in King's Landing.
Yeah, they do. And then so another one, Massaria, interesting.
Yeah.
Starting to get a little bit more play. Okay, I'm gonna go and manipulate the small folk, kind of, Westeros social media influencer.
Yeah, no.
That's a good idea. I like that. Let's get more of that. Let's see it.
Have her be a more direct part of the council or something, because she is more interesting than most of those.
Otherwise, she's just been in another room.
Yeah.
They need to fire those guys.
Yeah.
Drain the swamp, Holden. Drain the swamp. Get a new cabinet, Rhaenyra.
What is it? Rhaenyra sends the one guy to go do something. I can't even remember what's the one member of the council. She's like, you go do this. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It literally happened this episode. It's one of the guys who's always like angry at her. And then she's like, go do this for me. And I maybe it's just talks about how not notable he is. But when I was watching it, I remember thinking, oh, this guy's going to die doing this. And that's that's going to open up a spot on this council or something. But I can't even remember.
We can only hope.
Yeah, I can't even remember what he was supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's hope the season is back heavy.
Yeah.
Because the pieces are there. The pieces are there. Please tell me Otto Hightower returns. Because if Otto Hightower's done, I think
Aemon's in charge now. Do you think Aemon would recognize Otto's worth?
I thought he was going to bring him back.
I mean, still could.
I actually thought there was a chance that during that scene where they appoint Aemon, that they were going to end on Otto being the Regent King.
Yeah,
I'm an Otto stan. I was pulling for him because they were just bouncing around like, oh, it should be Allison, it should be Aemon. Then they were cutting to Kristen Cole. I was like, absolutely not.
Get out of here.
Heck no. Also, they need to give Kristen Cole more. Like, he needs more scenes. Like, he's gotten scenes, but I think give him even more screen time, especially with Gawain, this guy that's supposed to be like this foil to him that they just haven't done anything with really. But yeah, no, I think the pieces are there. I'm still optimistic. I nothing better than good Game of Thrones. So let's see a good return to the form.
Yeah, let's hope.